Blog Talk Radio.
And welcome to another edition of Carnivore Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with the esteemed Dr. Eric Lopkin, and no shortage of subjects at this particular point in time, Dr. Lopkin.
No, not at all. It's been a big week.
Big week. Let's start with the debate. I thought, and I'd love your opinion on this, of course, I thought Biden held his own for the first, hour, whatever. Last half hour, whew. And then you're a little younger than me, well, a lot younger than me, Dr. Lopkin, but I do remember, and I actually watched the debate when George H. Bush checked his watch. Biden did the same thing. They say that cost him the election.
Well, we'll see if it has an effect on Biden. I mean, yes, I think he did hold his own.
For the first hour.
I find it amazing how definitely for the first hour he held his own. He's fading at the end of it. I find it absolutely amazing, the difference looking at the domestic media and foreign media. I was looking at a number of British papers this morning, some Australian media, and domestic is talking about how well Biden did and how he won the debate, and foreign media is talking about how well Trump did and that Trump won the debate.
Okay, but isn't it true, Dr. Lopkin? And I had a conversation, obviously not in this situation, but had a conversation with a acquaintance of mine we were talking about the same thing. People did see what they saw. Okay? So you can spin it. I mean, you saw a train wreck. You still saw a train wreck. I'm not saying it was a train wreck. You saw the sky is blue. The sky is blue. I'm really put back by how in the tank the media, Biden did not do well. Trump didn't do well the first debate. That's fine. But Biden did not do well on the second debate, and the fact that it's not reported is kind of more than troubling, Dr. Lopkin, for our democracy.
It really is. I mean, I'm amazed at the lack of real journalism that exists now. And I don't know if you saw the video that Trump posted with the interview with Leslie Stahl, where
I did not see that.
He said to her, "Are you going to ask about the laptops?" And she said, "Well, that's unverified. We're not going to touch that." Meanwhile, they spent 4 years chasing unverified rumors about him colluding with Russia. And now, last night, right before the debate, the panel that was discussing it actually said, yes, there's a lot of mounting evidence, and clearly we are going to have to investigate this. It's not a scam. So, the media has just been desperately trying to prop Biden up.
But it's extremely troubling. I mean, Walter Cronkite, okay, back to my childhood, was a liberal. But, yeah, he leaned but it was 20 degrees left. But this is 45 degrees left. It's absolutely crazy, and I think it really hurts our democracy because it's true. And I'm sorry, Biden screwed up. He looked tired. He was incoherent at the end. You need to report that. The scandal. Yeah, it's a real problem. What if we elect someone that's corrupt, which we might do?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any question in most people, certainly in most Republicans' minds, that Biden is corrupt. I mean, let's not forget that his own assistant earlier in this campaign one of his assistants from when he was in the Senate accused him of rape, and the Democrats poo-pooed it. They said, she's not credible. We don't have to investigate. I mean, she was certainly a lot more credible and had more details than the woman that accused Kavanaugh, but that, they insisted, had to be investigated.
Yes, Dr. Lopkin, but this is a tough question, but only Dr. Lopkin can handle it. Why? And it's not just superficial. It's not that they went to liberal. Why is it that the media, corporate media, is so in the tank for Biden? And they were with Hillary. Why? It's the question.
Well, again,
and it's a disturbing question.
It is a disturbing question. And it started, as I've mentioned on other podcasts, with the removal of the fairness doctrine by the FCC, which forced media to cover both sides of the story. It was removed because they thought it was having a chilling effect, and news media, instead of covering both sides of a story, were simply not covering it at all. And it was removed. Since then, you've seen a steady stream of bias, and it's growing. And there is a fantastic book about this that actually came out a number of years ago called Bias. And it was written by reporters from CBS News. And basically it explained how you had this bias, but it never went on the air in the days of Walter Cronkite. Once the fairness doctrine was removed, it started going on the air, and people were much more open about it. And then those people hired people that thought more like themselves. And then those people hired more people. So the media kept moving more and more to the left.
I think it's a great analysis, but I think it's even more. I think it could be more troubling than that. I really do believe that mainstream media is owned by major corporations who see Trump as a huge threat. Now, another Republican, okay, yes, they're not going to be in the tank for him or her. They're not going to dig it, but they're adamantly opposed to Trump because he represents everything that is against their interests, which is globalism. And I honestly believe that.
I have to disagree with you strongly, because if you look at how the media has done under a Trump presidency, they have, up until the COVID shutdown, they were doing fantastic. Their stock prices were up. Their profits were up. And a lot of that was because of what Trump was doing with tax cuts and what Trump did to cut government regulation. They thrived under Trump. So, no, I don't think it's the corporate end of it at all. I think it's the on-air, quote-unquote, journalists and the folks that are actually running the networks, not the corporations.
Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, I will say that's a good point. I'll just defer with one final point, and that is I still believe that Trump is a threat to multinational global interests. And I think you look at big tech, you look at others, they want him shut down because nationalism has no right to play in their big scheme of things.
Okay, again, tech companies, and when I say tech, I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm talking about companies that actually build technology. They're actually for Trump because Trump stood up to China, where before, if they wanted to do business in China, they had to give away their technology to China. And Trump has been defending them and keeping that from happening.
Okay, that's a fair point. And why is Facebook, Google, the power players in the tech area, why are they so anti-Trump, anti-nationalism?
Facebook and Google are not, as I just said, when I'm talking about tech, I'm talking about people that manufacture technology.
No, I understand, but I'm just asking about them.
Facebook and Google don't manufacture anything. They're essentially media companies at this point. So they're basically what you see there is the fact that they were born, grew up in Silicon Valley, in Seattle, in the far, far left Northwest. So the people that founded this were far left. The people who work there are on the far left because that's where they grew up. That's how they were raised. It has nothing to do with their business.
You think it's as benign as that?
Oh, I'm not
Which
saying
is maybe a
that's
good
benign.
point. Maybe you're correct. I thought it was more sinister than that.
I'm not saying it's benign, but it has nothing to do with their business interests. And in fact, a lot of times, what these folks are doing is against their own business interests.
That's what I meant by benign. That's the troubling part of it, because it could be against their own financial interests. I think CNN doing what years ago when we had a business show, we were talking about, and you brought up the brilliant point about the polarization of the media. And I said at that time that CNN is an amazing opportunity to capture substantial market share to be the fair arbitrator. They blew it. I mean, where is the corporate governance that you don't say they squandered it? They become a caricature of themselves. Yeah. Their ratings, by the way, are a third of what Fox is.
It is. With Google and Facebook talking about, working against their own interests, you have to remember that while it's been very clear that they lean left and they are, they want a Biden presidency, they want to support Democrats, it's the Democrats that want Facebook and Google broken up. If Biden wins and the Democrats actually take the Senate, Google and Facebook will be under attack. So they are definitely working against their own self-interest.
I really believe that it was the Republicans that wanted them, and Trump in particular, wanted them broken up.
No, the Democrats.
I didn't know that. No,
I'm
not saying I disagree with you.
Much more vocal.
I just didn't know that.
And, getting back to last night's debate for a moment, I think because we spoke so much about how bad Chris Wallace did, I think we need to point out how well last night's debate was moderated. And there was some real concern because, Chris Wallace comes from a journalistic family. He grew up with journalism.
Mike Wallace,
I apologize.
Mike
I'm
Wallace.
forgetting. No, not Mike Wallace. I'm forgetting the moderators last. One woman who moderated last night. I'm forgetting her name.
It escapes me as well. But she did a heck of a job.
She did a fantastic job, and she actually has familial ties to the Democratic Party. And yet she came on, she gave Trump every opportunity. She did a fantastic job and did not let any bias get in the way. That was what moderating the debate could be.
What does that do to Chris Wallace's? Because I think his reputation is ebbing, to say the least. I'm sorry, he was showing up.
It makes him look even worse because she showed him that, yes, this could be done well, and she did it. And, yes, she did have the advantage that the committee was muting the mics.
Yeah,
so both candidates were sort of forced to be on their best behavior, but she dealt with both candidates professionally. She didn't get into arguments with them, and they actually followed what she told them to do. So there was respect on both sides. It was a well-moderated debate.
I would agree, and I also think it shows the power of a moderator. Chris Wallace's ineptitude actually hurt Trump. He lost control. I think it fed into because when you're the power player, meaning the President of the United States, and something doesn't, it's kind of on your watch, okay? And I think Trump, yes, he didn't have a good debate. We all agree with that. But it's kind of like the whole thing went down the toilet, and I think he paid a disproportionate price for that because of Chris Wallace's ineptitude.
Yeah, Chris Wallace lost control of the debate early on, and last night the moderator never lost control. Again, I have to apologize to our audience because I'm blanking on her name, and it's a little embarrassing. We have to take a break now, so Jeff, hang on for just a moment. We will be right back.
To reach the next level, you need to operate at peak performance. The key to this is mastering the 7 elements of success. Learn how to master mindset, focus, operations, communications, innovation, evaluation metrics, and continuous improvement. Get the Biznetics way at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and bookstores near you.
And we're back, and remember, you can be part of the conversation if you want to join us at 563-999-3693. That's 563-999-3693. And I think, we've been talking about the debate. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Dr. Lopkin, I think there were some really salient moments, and you look at the history, John Kennedy, all that. Didn't rise to that level. But Biden certainly created some fodder for Trump to use in campaign ads and the lies. I never said that. Even a rudimentary advertising person can put together some really fracking. Did he lose Pennsylvania from that? What do you think? And also the whole thing about going carbon neutral by 2025. Are you kidding me? I think he lost it at the end. I really believe he lost it at the end.
Trump hits that hard. If he uses that in advertising, then Biden is going to lose Pennsylvania because that's their big industry. He's going to lose Ohio, another swing state, because that's their big industry. Going carbon neutral is going to cripple the economy of those states. And yes, they came out against Hillary when she said it. If Trump hits those areas hard with advertising, they will turn out for Trump because, again, Biden will kill their economy with that.
Okay, let's juxtapose the two debates, or the three. I thought Pence stopped the bleeding. I believe he won that debate against Kamala Harris. I truly believe that. I think Trump lost, I know you'll disagree with me, I believe he lost 5 points, 3 to 5 points, by his horrendous performance and his lack of control in the first debate. I believe he might have picked up 5 in the last debate. He was composed. He was non-confrontational. And unfortunately for Trump, that Biden held it together for the first hour. But if anyone saw the last half hour, it was troubling to say the least. Your comment, Dr. Lopkin.
Yeah, Trump definitely lost the first debate. There was absolutely no question about that.
He got destroyed.
Pence did a fantastic job. He came off as more presidential than, quite frankly, any of them, certainly more than either Trump or Biden. Harris did not, and that cost her in that debate. Trump did do better in this debate. I don't think he gained or lost as many points as you're saying, because I don't think the debates have as big an impact as you're giving them. And to give you an example, I was watching parts of the debate, and then I actually turned on an old Johnny Carson episode. I watch him at night. I love doing that just before I go to sleep. And coincidentally, the episode that I was watching, he was talking about the presidential debate between Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale. And he was talking how it was obvious that Mondale won the debate. Everybody in the media said Mondale clearly won the debate. But we all know that that debate had absolutely no impact on the election, because Mondale lost every state except Washington, D.C., and his home state of Minnesota. And also, they were pointing out that 50 million Americans have already voted either by mail or in person in early voting. So I don't think the debates are actually having as much impact as people think they do.
I actually, Dr. Lopkin, respectfully have a different viewpoint. I thought the first debate cost Trump dearly. I think he was headed for a debacle, that, and combined with him getting corona after being a little lackadaisical about things, I think if he did not stop the bleeding in this debate, it was over. And that's what I truly believe. I think he more than it's not like happy days are here again and it's over and he's going to win. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is if he did not stop the bleeding, which he did last night, and got people possibly thinking about the viability and the capabilities of Biden, he would be finished.
Yep. One last thought on the debate, and then we really should move on to other topics. But I was amazed today at how many people I heard in the media. A lot of it was international, but also several domestic, who all said the same thing. The message that Trump was putting out was much more positive than Biden's message. Biden's message was, we're going into a dark winter, things are terrible, and Trump was, we can overcome all of this. He was much more positive, and that speaks to a lot of people.
I would agree. You say we have to move on to other subjects. What do you think, Dr. Lopkin?
Yeah, there's been two big stories over the last 2 days that we need to talk about. One just today, a new historic peace deal between the Sudan and Israel. This is the second peace deal that Trump has negotiated in the Middle East. It is the first time that there have been multiple peace deals in the Middle East for any U.S. president, and all sides credit him for bringing people together. So this is,
I thought what he did was frigging brilliant, because what he did, and I'm sure you know this, Dr. Lopkin. Go ahead.
It's in stark contrast to the image that the Democrats are trying to portray him. Clearly, he has been there for both sides.
Yes, I also think it's amazingly brilliant, either by luck or by calculation, that everyone thought, all the experts, the intelligentsia, thought it all revolved around the Palestinians. He was the first, his administration was you're not willing to, they put them to the side and moved on. Everyone used thought the Palestinians were the one you needed to address first. He went around them and it's like, okay, you don't want this? We're moving ahead. I believe one of the biggest shames that may happen if Biden gets in is we are at the precipice of the Middle East being a much more peaceful place. Maybe one of the best eras in the Middle East. What do you think, Dr. Lopkin?
Yeah.
And an isolation of Iran.
These agreements are actually creating unprecedented stability in the Middle East. For Israel, as you just said, isolating Iran, it's going to isolate the Palestinians. So what you've got is all of these groups actually coming together. These people had never even come to the table before because of our focus on, well, it's got to be the Palestinians. And Trump just showed that these career politicians had no idea how to approach the Middle East.
And didn't they? I'm listening to what you're saying, and when you think about this, Dr. Lopkin, I want your opinion on this. By putting all the emphasis and all the focus on the Palestinians, not that that's not an issue, you gave them, by default, too much power. You needed, it's been 30, 40 years. Arafat, 25 years ago, had the greatest deal ever. He walked away. My point is that by going around them, maybe you're putting the pressure they need on maybe, the trains leaving the station. What do you think, Dr. Lopkin?
Absolutely. The United Arab Emirates, who was the first country to enter one of these peace deals, has actually said they are going to put pressure on the Palestinians to fall in with everybody else. You now have two countries who are actively recruiting other Arab countries to join the peace process. You've never had that before.
And doesn't it fly completely in the face of the Iranian deal? Empowering, the incompetency at the highest levels of empowering the impediment to peace while Trump basically weakened them and made a much better situation and a path forward for the other Arab countries to say, this is the way we need to go. Am I not correct?
You are absolutely correct. It shows that we were going in the wrong direction. It shows the treaties that the Obama administration was negotiating were completely ineffective. And now we're moving in the right direction in the Middle East. And it is amazing how much stability you can have when you have multiple countries in the Middle East all saying, yes, we are all going to work together for peace. We've only got...
Real quick, I know we're up against...
Yep.
I got you.
Yeah, we've only got about 2 minutes left. Go ahead.
All right. I'm really interested in the effect of Obama campaigning for Biden. What do you think? And why do you think? I think the forces behind that is that he fears, that we've already talked about on air and on podcasts, his legacy fading very quickly. What do you think, Dr. Lopkin?
Yeah, I don't think Obama is actually going to be of any help to Biden. He campaigned for Hillary much more than he is for Biden, which actually puts Biden into question. You would think he would have campaigned more for Biden, his own vice president. So I don't think Obama's going to be any help.
Do you think he's terrified about his legacy that's dwindling by the minute? I do.
Absolutely.
If Trump gets in again, he's a footnote in
Obama's
history.
legacy's dead. Yes. We've only got 2 minutes left. I want to hit one more story.
Go ahead.
A big step in COVID yesterday. Remdesivir got FDA approval for treatment of any patient who is hospitalized rather than just emergency. So we now have an effective treatment against COVID. Biden has been pushing that this is the big, everybody has to be afraid of this, and it's going to go into next summer. We already have a treatment.
There is no question, if you got COVID 6 months ago, may God be with you, I'd be scared. You know what? Now if I wouldn't want it, but the odds, the prognosis is exponentially better. Correct, Dr. Lopkin?
Right.
Exponentially.
Absolutely. I mean, even in the summer before this, you only had a 0.4% chance of passing away from this. Now you don't even have that. So we've made huge strides in that. It's time for us to stop being afraid.
Last question. I know we're up against it.
We've got 30 seconds.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Your odds. I love your odds. What is it now?
Right now, it's still really close, but given he stopped the bleeding, given the change in COVID and the peace deal, I'm giving him a solid 51%, Biden down at 49%.
Nice. No one does it better than Lopkin. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Carnivore Radio. You can catch us live every Friday at 4 at blogtalkradio.com/Carnivore Radio. You can catch the reruns on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and wherever you find podcasts.